Hi, my angels, and welcome back to another video. Now, if you are new here, this is Angel Baby speaking, where we talk about the uncomfortable parts of manifestation and how to actually transform using tangible mindset and nervous system regulation work. Now, today I want to talk to the people who know exactly what they want. They know who they want. You've been doing the work, you've been affirming, you've been trying to stay in the right energy. But when the doubts are hitting, it feels like everything is falling apart. And I don't want you to feel alone in that because this is where a lot of people tend to get stuck in their manifestations because you hear things like feeling is the secret or live in the end. And then you might find yourself start to try and force this feeling of being chosen, secure, happy, like it's already done. And yes, when you are being the version of you who already has that relationship, the money, the life, there is a natural feeling that does come with that. You do feel more secure, you do feel more relaxed, you do feel more loved, more safe, more certain that this is where you should be, right? But the problem is when you start trying to create that feeling all day long, and then the second you get triggered, you think that you lost all hope. So now you have a really good day. Maybe your thoughts are in alignment. You don't have anything triggering you. You don't have any random emotions come up and surprise you. So you think, okay, I'm aligned. I knew it. But then something happens. Maybe you get ignored or you see something you don't necessarily like. Maybe your person acts weird or a random expense pops up. Or maybe even your own emotions or thoughts start coming at you. And suddenly you find yourself thinking, wait, I'm doing this wrong. Did I just mess it up? Is it not working? And that this is where you're going to find yourself getting trapped in this cycle because you are making your manifestation depend on whether you can be perfect enough to hold a state. And that is so exhausting. That is not trust, that is control. So if you feel like your manifestation depends on you genuinely never reacting, never doubting, never having slip ups, then of course you don't feel safe. Of course you can't surrender because you are still treating the whole thing like it could just disappear the second you mess up. So, if you actually had your desire right now, how do you think that you are going to be able to maintain it from that energy? It genuinely would not be sustainable for you. So, what I really intend for you to understand is that your job is not to control every single thought or force every feeling. Your job is to keep coming back to who you choose to be, no matter what it looks like, to bring yourself there because you know what you need best, and that's it. So, I find that there are so many questions about faith and I think the entire point gets missed because whether you call it God, source, the universe, your higher self, your spirit guides, whatever you call it truly does not matter. You just need a deeper relationship with something bigger than the 3D. Because if your only source of reassurance is what you can see right now, you are always going to be thrown around by circumstances. You're always going to find yourself checking, analyzing, waiting, monitoring, just trying to figure out what the problem or the solution is to this. And you are always manifesting because then your reality is always going to be reflecting your beliefs back to you. That's the law. So it's not actually that you don't trust, you are just genuinely trusting the wrong things. You're trusting the doubt more than your truth and you're trusting all of these stories and these emotions to be something that they're actually not. So that's the focus that you should be trying to shift when you are doing any technique or any sort of inner work. So this is where I do want to get practical because I don't want this to be just a pretty concept because I think the idea of the law of assumption might be so appealing to you, but it's not something that you trust or allow to work for you in the ways that you're wanting. So, if you are someone whose doubts just keep taking over, then you want to get comfortable with what trust actually looks like. So, when your mind is telling you, no, like, what if this isn't happening? What if it's not working? You don't follow that thought and those emotions and let it just drag you in every which way. You stop and you pour back into yourself. You remind yourself who you are. You stop making the doubt the loudest voice in the room, because when you are someone who trusts yourself, it sounds like, I am still chosen, even if I'm triggered right now. I am still powerful, even if I don't see movement today. I am still safe, even if my emotions and thoughts are so loud, because I don't need to keep chasing proof to know what I know. Okay, it looks like really checking in with yourself instead of checking the 3D for reassurance. It looks like actually catching yourself in the spiral and asking, what do I need right now? Do I need to breathe? Do I need to stop checking? Do I need to remind myself of my truth? Do I need to get back into my life for a minute? And you can even talk to yourself in third person, like, what do you need right now? Because anything that is coming up is not the final verdict for you. It is truly old programming. It is older versions of you perspective that you're shifting and changing. And that's why the middle part feels so uncomfortable, because you have held on to these different perceptions, beliefs, emotional patterns, all of these different programmings you've held on to for so long, and you just have to let it go. Okay, because maybe you have shifted enough to want more, to feel more, maybe even see movement or get your manifestations, but not enough yet to stop looking back, because looking back is what is going to keep you stuck. So you have to stop turning around to check and see that if what you ask for is following you. Okay, you have to stop choking right before your bridge finishes building, because the second that you're going back into, where is it? Why isn't it here? What does this mean? Maybe it's this issue. Maybe this is the solution. Okay, you just keep dropping and returning yourself to the identity that was waiting in the first place. So, a lot of what you are reacting to is not even the current circumstance or your person or what they said or did. It is your past. It is what you learned that love means. It's maybe you learned that love does leave, or that people change their minds, or that you can be replaced, or that you're only safe when someone is constantly proving something to you. So then, if your person reflects any space at all of those stories and emotions come up and they try to run the show again. Okay. But you have to understand that that doesn't mean that it's not working, or it's indicating that you're just someone that it doesn't happen for. It is genuinely just your old stories being revealed. So, no, you do not have to be perfectly healed to manifest, but you need to stop letting the old story be more powerful than the version of you that you are becoming, the version of you that you already are, and the version of you that you were born to be. It is just you versus yourself. Okay. So this is where the aspect of letting go can actually happen, because it's not that you are pretending like you don't care anymore or putting your person beneath you. Okay. It's just genuinely releasing the idea that your fear and these thoughts have more power than your inner knowing. It is choosing to stop feeding every single emotion and every single doubt like it's genuinely your prophecy. It is saying, I know what I want, I know who I am, and I know what I'm available for. And I'm not going to keep abandoning myself every time the 3D gets a little weird. Okay. That is surrender. That is what it looks like. It's not you giving up and laying on the floor or saying, whatever, it's over. Like, I'm surrendering. I don't want to do anything anymore. It's you trusting enough to live your life, pour into yourself, and stop demanding immediate evidence just because your mind or body is uncomfortable. Because in order to truly surrender, you have to surrender to something. So it's not you giving up and feeding your doubt and fear and saying, well, it's just not meant for me. It's just not going to happen. You don't have to do that. you can still have the faith that it will work out for you. Okay. So, what does this look like day to day? It looks like affirming your power when you feel weak. It looks like regulating yourself instead of reacting. It looks like pouring into yourself when you want to obsess over your person or the outcome of whatever it is you're manifesting. It looks like genuinely staying with yourself when you're wanting to chase proof or get something outside of yourself. So it looks like self talk in the ways of I am loved, I am the priority, I am chosen, I am safe, I am important, I am the operant power, and what is mine is not fragile. Okay, it looks like getting back into your body, your routine, your joy, your work, your peace. Because the more that you show up for yourself, the more that you are building this sense of trust within yourself, the way less you're going to need to keep allowing the 3D to babysit your belief for you. Your brain is always saying yes to something, so allow yourself to agree on what you want. Because once that happens, everything can truly change because you're now not manifesting from fear, you're manifesting from the knowing. And that's when this starts to feel natural. And it doesn't feel like you're trying to hold water in your hands all day, okay? It's just natural. So if you have been letting these doubts take over, start with yourself of stop trying to force this feeling and start building trust. Trust in your power, trust in your identity, trust in whatever reminds you that there's something bigger than this moment right now. So when that doubt comes up, don't keep making it mean that you are failing. Make it your cue to come back to yourself. Pour into your relationship with Source, your heart, your mind, affirm your power, pour into yourself, remind yourself who you are. And that is how you stop spiraling. When you practice it enough, that becomes your new normal. Okay. So that is how you let go, and that is how you surrender without giving up on what you want. Okay. So if this resonated and gave you an aha moment, I want you to comment down below. I trust that what I want is mine. And I will see you in the next video.